Hey folks, so just thought about a relevant learning nugget for all of you guys and girls, so I thought I'd just quickly jump on the screen. So the big money, so people that are playing around with millions, or hundreds of millions to billions, etc., they never really dick around with the daily chart or below. It's nearly always the weekly chart. So you'll see big money always referring, or they'll, because they have to phase in over time and over certain price points, they will tend to look at the weekly chart. But however, for sort of day-to-day fidelity, the weekly chart doesn't really give us too much if you're placing shorter term trades like we do. So in fact, let's just draw this a bit more accurately. Yeah, so that'll come into play later at the 40. So obviously, a lot of people look at the daily chart, which is good, gives us a bit more fidelity or resolution in what we think may happen. But I think it's still quite too small a time frame. I mean, normally I'm looking at the 12-hour chart for entries and whatnot, because it's a high enough time frame to give you a bigger picture, but also big enough to not be too much noise, if that makes sense. Whereas with a 4-hour chart, you can get really caught up in the noise and all sorts of wicks and stuff like that. But every now and then, I like looking at the 3-day chart because it gives, I guess, in my opinion, the best of both worlds, from the bigger weekly plays and what may happen. So I've just cleared the chart, done all of these trend lines, and I'm finding quite an interesting pattern here. So I guess these are the relevant trend lines for the moment, and let's go through one by one. So obviously we've got this one here, which is going to be very important as the market comes down. So this is going to be quite strong in my opinion, and another very strong one would be this one, as is this one. Okay, so these are pretty strong ones. Actually, what it's sat on right now is pretty strong as well, because we've got this huge neckline here of this, sort of double top, which is now played out for all intents and purposes. And then we have a slightly weaker one across here, which it could come down into. And yeah, this is a bit weaker one, this one here. But long story short, we are going to have a crazy amount of support. By the looks of this, around the 28k level. So, which is interesting, because when you look at the high blocks, it's logged me out again. Stand by. Come on. I believe off the top of my head there is a bit of liquidity around that level with the 28k. So if we jump to the 3-month, which is 28. Okay, there's not much there. Maybe in the 1 month it will show a little bit more. Okay, so there's not actually too much there. There's just a little bit around the 29k level. But either way, I think this is going to be an important level as it bounces off this very important level. And again, if this level's breached, then we're looking at sort of 25. This is the 25k level. So the other thing which is leading me to believe that this is actually the beginning of a mini tumble, and when I say tumble, I mean that in pure percentage terms, because it's not much of a tumble, but I guess another sort of 10% drop I think is a fairly likely outcome from here. And you tend to see this when you have a certain local high, market tends to breach that before pumping it down. So I'm actually quite I would actually quite like to sidestep this actually, and then buy in around 28, and then if it looks a bit dodgy, maybe sidestep again. But the thing with sidestepping is that if you do commit to the sidestep strategy, you have to buy in after every relevant fall, if that makes sense. Where I've scuppered myself in the past is where I've done a lovely sidestep, it's fallen, and then I go, oh, actually no, it looks like it's going to fall even more. I don't buy back in, and then it just bounces and buggers off and leaves me behind. So when you do sidestep, if there's a relevant amount of falling, then buy in. So for example, if we saw red down into sort of 28-ish, then you buy in again, and then you just wait and see what happens. And if it looks like it's gonna, do something like this, then you can sidestep again, and then aim to, get back in a bit lower. But so each time you're taking a little hit in sort of dollar terms as you sidestep, but every time you get back in after a little drop, then you're picking up more satoshis, which is actually all we should really be caring about right now. So I'm actually I'm really eyeing up this sort of 30k level where it's sort of hovering at right now, or 29,500. Yeah, if it really starts dropping back there, then I think we could see a bit of a move down. And as you can see, if it does get into the 29,500, it's going to pump through this potentially down to 29. So that takes us to about actually about there. So yeah, that's interesting. And again, on the way up, be very aware of this line here, which I think by the time that happens, we should be looking at that 40k level. So I think we could have a bit of a bounce off there. Anyway, oh yeah, and here's the other thing. One other thing which I remembered is that because people with big money, 100 million plus, they're not top or bottom pickers like the retail market is. So if you have something down here and it's fully capitulated and it's done 50 to 80% crash, that because of the amount and the size they have to buy in at, what happens is that they have to start buying during the mass panic. So this is why you nearly, especially with Bitcoin, you tend to get lots of falling, it chills out for a bit, and then you have one last hurrah down, where there's mass panic, everyone's like, oh, Bitcoin's going to zero, etc. You'll see a lot of big boys that they'll start buying anywhere around, during this dip, so around here. And because of the size that they're putting in and their time weight averaging it in, their price weight averaging in, it creates a bit of a mini rallies. And then obviously they stop, or they may even short it just to send it back down again. And then they try and allocate again. And so this is why you have double bottoms or triple bottoms or some sort of sustained bottoming pattern, because you have NDV, non-directional volatility, where basically big boys are accumulating towards the lows, and every time they do that, it creates a bit of a spark, and then eventually it goes back up. Now when we breach that sort of bottoming pattern, then what you need to do is just buy every freaking dip. So, and this is, and by the way, the inverse applies as well. So when you see a market which is sort of doing this, and you're seeing little highs being pipped or another little high being pipped, it's people slowly exiting, and then when they've done the final exit, then whoa, my pen's gone kaput here. I can't stop drawing. There we go. And then it goes kaput, which is why it creates sort of a Bart Simpson pattern sometimes. So yeah, that's interesting. So where are we now with Bitcoin? I believe, when looking at the patterns, I think this area around here, if I can get my mouse, I think that is the sort of the accumulation zone. And now we've sort of breached that, and we've got a strong Kobo out from this. I think we need to just buy every dip. So buy 28, buy 25, buy 22 if it gets down there. So and then again, we've got a slightly smaller, more of a psychological level at 20. I'd make that a bit less thick. I think 22 is more important than 20, to be honest. So yeah, I hope that helps.